ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Fareez, for that beautiful recitation. Next, let me introduce our speakers for today. Our first speaker for today is Brother Muhammad Izwan bin Zakira. He has a bachelor's in material engineering from IIUM and is now a senior corrosion integrity engineer at Off-Field Offshore Service in Durian Berhad. Next, our second speaker for today is Brother Muhammad Marzouk Imran. For your information, Brother Marzouk has a bachelor's in mechatronics engineering from IIUM and is currently working as a software engineer in Penat Technologies. Without further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker, Brother Muhammad Izwan bin Zakir, to deliver his talk for today. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment, and then near the end, we will have a Q&A. Brother, you can start now.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of you. Okay, so it's been quite long. I didn't give any talk to IIM. Previously, I always join with the alumni, what we call alumni section. So we have a lot of giving talk about career and so on. So this is I think my fourth time giving talk to IIM student. You guys can hear my voice clearly?
Yes.
Okay. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Muhammad Izwan bin Zakaria. I have bachelor degree in materials engineering from IIUM, and now currently I do also master of science in material engineering also in IIUM. So this is my last semester. So now currently I'm doing the project paper with Dr. Hanafi and Dr. Hanim. Okay, so from my what we call career background, currently I am a senior corrosion and integrity engineer with Oilfield Offshore Sdn Bhd. So I working almost this year might be my 8 years lah working in industry. So I think that's all for what we call brief about myself lah. So I got a lot of what we call this one have been given by Tengku. There's like speaker topics lah. So what I need to elaborate more. So whatever that you want to ask, you can ask in the comment section. Then later me and Mazuk will answer for that lah. Okay. So basically I am what we call ex-member of the Roboteam club. So I can say me and Mazu also both are Roboteam club as Roboteam. So we are almost like a pioneer lah. Above us there are two senior lah. Then we are third generation for what we call Roboteam. So previously I have joined Roboteam. I think from first year until 4th year together with Mazuk. Then what we call the achievement in Roboteam, actually on that day there's not a lot of achievement for us because we just started Roboteam and we have to learn a lot. So but nowadays I saw there's a lot of achievement by Roboteam club members, so congratulations to you lah. So previously I joined 2 competition for Roboteam, Robocon, and 2 competition for Mirok. Mirok previously is conducted by Unimap, if I'm not mistaken lah, I already forgot. So I'm in the mechanical team, and Mazuk is my team. Mazuk doing what we call coding lah, programming. So I'm the mechanicals. Okay. So when we talk about what we call career talk, so usually most of you guys are the graduate really eager to know lah when we going to start our journey at which industry and how to join big company and so on. Okay, so what I can say, I will tell you about my background lah, because my background is materials. So I will all my what we call advice or elaboration is more forward to materials engineering. So if you have what we call question about mechatronic, you can ask Mazud. So based on my background, materials engineering, you can venture into a lot of position in industry. For example, you can become a asset integrity engineer. You can also become MCI engineer. MCI engineer is a short form for material, corrosion, and inspection. You also can become an inspection engineer, materials engineer, corrosion engineer. You can become a process engineer, project engineer, procurement, and whatsoever. There's a lot of opportunity, but we need to what we call know how to tackle the industry and how to venture in lah. So in terms of industry that related to materials, usually most of us alumni or senior, most of us is career into what we call oil and gas industry, and some in automotive industry, and some of us in what we call manufacture lah, is like perkilangan lah, such as Infineon and so on lah. So my career start from what we call practicals. I do practicals in Petronas Research as a corrosion trainee. Then afterward, just before presentation final FYP, I secure my first job as a corrosion engineer. Then I continue my what we call in corrosion fields until now. So it's almost 8 years lah. I become a corrosion engineer. But my core expertise is in cathodic protection. So if you guys in material background, so you know lah what is a cathodic protection. So my core expertise in cathodic protection. I am a certified NIST level 2 for cathodic protection. NIST is a stand for National Association Corrosion Engineer. So this is what we call certified globally lah. So when you have these certifications, you will be certified by all of the globally, I can say globally, Petronas, Shell, they all certify you lah. They all certify you, recognize you as a corrosion engineer. So I'm a level 2, and now currently I doing some asset integrity in my new company. So I do corrosion and also asset integrity. Asset integrity is more in terms of like piping, mechanicals, like that lah. But it's related to materials also. So when we talk about nowadays, there's what we have a lot of difficulties lah because of the pandemic of COVID-19. So actually it's really impact us also as a industrial player. I'm also affected by COVID-19. Previously, I quit my job because of economical issue from my previous company. So I have to let go. And now I join new company. So it's much stable compared to previously. So what I can tell that is COVID-19 is real and it's really affected globally and also our industry, and not much job have been done lah. For example, like me, oil and gas, most of the job has been stopped by clients, such as project from Petronas, Shells, and so on has been stopped and pending for so long. So for a contractor or consultant like us, so it's really difficult for us to survive in this time of pandemic. So whatever happened, we must go on and try to blend in or what we call familiarize with this pandemic and try to increase your what we call marketability to make sure that you can survive within this pandemic, because you know that a lot of people has lost their job during this pandemic time. So I'm luckily still survive and still can continue my job, maybe because of my marketability and I know what I'm doing. So people will know that you are valuables to the company and you will stay in lah. Okay, so for tips in engineering, I can say previously I also like you guys. I don't know anything. I like blur lah. No one teach me how to start my career. What should I take? What company should I apply and so on. But luckily previously I have set my what we call career journey. I have my target before I start my journey. So I want to be a corrosion engineer. So that's my target. I want to join venture into oil and gas industry. So that's my target lah. So that's my main focus. I want to involve in oil and gas industry, and I want to be a corrosion engineer. To be specific, is a material corrosion inspection lah. So that's why during my practical times I apply with Petronas, and I can say I'm the first one who been secure the practical position lah in Petronas research on that time in my batch lah. So as a corrosion trainee, so that's my starting point how I become a corrosion engineer, because without any experience in corrosions, I can say is low chance for you to get whatever you want lah. For example, if you want to become corrosion engineer, you must start with something that related to corrosion. So like me, I started with my practical as a corrosion trainee. Then luckily I secure my first job also in corrosion engineer. So to be honest with you, before I graduated, I applied almost like 300 application before graduated. That's in my final semester, I applied almost 300 applications sent out to every company in oil and gas industry. So that time my focus mix lah. I put two priority. First is corrosion material and inspection engineer. Second is a project engineer. So these two branch I just apply. I Google out which company is in oil and gas, because I don't have knowledge in oil and gas. I just know what Shell, Petronas, ExxonMobil. That's what I know. But I don't know actually there's a lot of oil and gas company in industry lah. So that time I put more effort, because I know that I'm not I just what we call just a intermediate student lah. I can say I graduated with 2.98 CGPA. So don't be like low self-esteem because you have below 3.0 CGPA. You still can secure a job. I'm the one who secure first job in my batch for material engineering. Although I just have 2.98 CGPA. Mazuk is a brilliant one lah. My genius, my friend Mazuk, first class student. Okay, so that's the difference lah. When you know that your what we call disadvantage with other student or your batchmate, so you have to put more effort on that. So that's how I put my effort. I sent out 300 applications to oil and gas industry, and alhamdulillah I secure before I graduated lah. So tips to what we call make sure that you are marketable in the industry and so on. First of all, after 8 years I working with industry, I saw a lot of things that I didn't done previously, and I regret on it. If I did it earlier, so I think I can what we call more comfortable lah now today's. But you are very lucky, because previously during my time there is no like a career talk, call out any alumni giving a talk or advice how to secure a job and so on. So nowadays we have that platform, and it's very easy for you to start your career journey lah. So my tips is, first is about your soft skill, communication skills. To be honest, I also cannot I have a fright stage also. Fright stage means takut bila bercakap lah. So talk in front of people. So I try to challenge that that thing I involved in alumni career. So I giving talk to others, to try to talk in front of a lot of audience peoples. So this is one way how you want to what we call improve your communication skill, soft skill, and so on. So this is really important when you join industry, that you need a lot of what we call communication skill, public relations, so, and other contractor that I need to manage. So without any soft skill or communication skill, it's very hard for me to manage my team, to make sure our project can be done within the time period, time frame. Okay, so another important thing is that I always ask undergraduate student to register yourself with what we call a body in Malaysia. For example, like BEM, Board of Engineer Malaysia, IEM, Institute of Engineering Malaysia, and now we have MBOT. If you know, is we have MBOT, Malaysian Board of Technologies. Okay, so before you graduated, after you graduated, then you have your transcript and degree. So I advise you to quickly register yourself as a graduate engineer. Why? Because for me, if you didn't register yourself as a graduate engineer, I can say that your experience is not being recognized by the Board of Engineer of Malaysia, unless you don't have any issue or you don't want to become an IR and so on. Okay, for your information, currently I'm doing the mentorship under IEM to become a professional engineer lah, IR. So I already completed my third year of logbook with my mentor. My mentor is currently in Miri. He's a Shell employer, is a specialist in material and corrosion inspection lah. So now I already submitted to IEM. So this is my final stage lah. I just wait for calling for interview from IEM. So if I pass this interview, inshallah I will get the IR, professional engineer. So and one thing, you can also register yourself with the MBOT. MBOT is a Malaysian Board of Technologies. This is a very new board, what we call body under government of Malaysia. So it's not private. This is under government of Malaysia by Ministry of Malaysia. So I hope you guys can also register as a graduate technologist. So for my for MBOT also, I wait for professional interview. So later on, if I pass the interview, I will sit for interview on 19 May. So after Raya. So if I pass this interview, I get the TS. So later on, I can use the IR TS Muhammad Izwan Zakaria. So that's how you want to, what we call, advance your career and to make sure that you are leading compared to others lah. So that's how you want to marketable your what we call profile lah, to make sure that people believe you. If you are an employer, when you see someone that we have that kind of background, you have IR, you have TS, first impression is you know that this guy is very hardworking. Second, this guy can what we call is a multitask lah. You can work, you can also do certification and so on. And you know that first impression is very important for employer. If you have nothing, you just have degree as your secure ticket to for the job, it's very hard for you to survive nowadays. So nowadays we have a lot of undergraduate that unemployed. So you have to advance yourself lah. So okay, last point for the tips how to marketable yourself is, I can say, is a connection, or we can call it your connection lah. Connection, people surrounding you in industry. You have to make a lot of friends in industry. You can what we call register LinkedIn, if you know LinkedIn. So I have profile LinkedIn. You can add me later, so you can see my profile. So that's how you build your career from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like a Facebook, but it's for career. So from that, you know which person is in your fields also. For example, you can find someone who in corrosion field material and so on. So you try to connect with them. So if they saw you what we call have some sort of um, advantages and so on. So maybe you will have advantage to secure a job because you didn't know your rezeki where. So another thing is try to join the alumni I think Telegram and also WhatsApp lah. Once you graduate, I think lecturer will provide you. Usually Dr. Hafizah Hanim will ask you to join the alumni lah. So inside there's a lot of successful people, for example in oil and gas, in automotive, who are working overseas, who have IR and so on. So you have a lot of connection. So if you make a lot of connection and a good relationship with them, it will help you also to secure a job lah. So for oil and gas industry, to be honest, I talk about oil and gas industry. So in oil and gas industry, certification is very important. But as a fresh graduate, we didn't what we call hope you to get that certifications because the certificate is very expensive. For example, for my certification under NACE, National Association Corrosion Engineer, first one certificate is cost you 10,000 ringgit lah. So I have level 1 and level 2, so I already burned 2,000 ringgit. But luckily, this has been sponsored by my company. So so if you have that certification, for example in API, American Petroleum Institute, or you have from BGAS, C-Suite and so on, that's one of the advantage lah you have to you have compared to others candidate. So certification in oil and gas industry is very important, but compared to other industry, I'm not sure. You can ask Mazuk later. For software, is there any certification needed or not lah? So for oil and gas, yes, it's very advantage you have that certification. If you want like we call a low cost of certification, you can join API, but API don't take the course, just take the exam. So the exam will cost you around 1,300. So you can take, for example, like piping inspector, you can take tank storage inspector, you can take pressure vessels. We have also RBI, we have also material and corrosion damage mechanism. So there's a lot you need to study about that. Then you need to know which path that you need to take. Don't take everything because you just focus whatever you need. Then when you are already established or stable, I can say you economically stable or you have a lot of money, then you can get another certification. Just focus on whatever that you need. For example, for me, I will focus on my corrosion path first. Also, whenever I feel that I have some time or have a lot of money, so I can spend for another certification. So that's a really advantage for me lah. So the question about how do you see engineering study field 5 years from now, I can see engineering overload lah. There's a lot of student undergraduate taking engineering, and engineering also now have a lot of what we call branches. For example, like IIUM, they didn't offer you like mechanicals, chemistry, electricals, but we have civils. So civils is a very good lah. So I can say I'm not condemn IIUM, but when I joined venture into the industry, I saw that when we are in minor, for example, I in materials, my major degree is mechanicals lah, sub of the mechanical. So I am materials. So when I applying a job related to mechanical is very hard for me compared to the undergraduate that focus on mechanicals. So this need to be done by the industry, how how they want to what we call didn't differentiate us. Although I'm taking materials, it doesn't mean that I can't do work. I can say you, to be honest, only 1% of the knowledge that you apply in your what we call career, only 1%. For me, I just take cathodic protection. That's all. Whatever I learned during 4 years, calculus, electrical, electronic, thermodynamic, and so on, I didn't use in my career. I just use cathodic protection only. Cathodic protection is just a subtopic in the corrosion course lah for materials. So for me, it's unfair if we being differentiated by that some sort of our degree background. Because for me, if I'm mechanical, I also can do electrical, because nowadays I also do troubleshoot for electrical, for example, for transformer rectifier and so on lah. So I know about electrical also. It doesn't limit my expertise. Although I'm material, I also can do electrical. So it depends on the person itself. If you can survive, if people throw you everywhere, you also can survive if you are a strong-willed person lah. Okay, so so last question is, does woman capable of surviving in engineering? I can say yes, because engineering, we cannot be all men in the engineering. We also have a section that we call a procurement. We also have like contracting engineer, procurement engineer, design engineer. So this I can say because I also do some sort of design also. So I can say when it's come to the documentation, drawing or design whatsoever, I can say woman is better than men lah, I can say. But if you go to site doing the hard work, doing site work under hot sun and so on, yeah, it's advantage for men. So there's no discriminate about a woman cannot survive in engineering. No, my wife also is an engineer. She's a procurement in MNC company. So I can see she's very happy with her work. So there's nothing that we can say that women cannot survive in engineering. There's a lot of opportunity. You also can do site work, woman. When I go to offshore, there's a woman in offshore also. There's nothing that we can say that women cannot do hard work. No, there's a girls that can survive in that what we call offshore situation. Doing for example, if you join Schlumberger, that's very hard company to survive lah, because it's very hard work, but it pay you a lot of money. Okay, last but not least, it's already 10. Okay, last but not least, I just want to what we call highlight here, whatever it is. When I say that communication skills is important, you need to register with a board, body, and so on. You need to have a connection. You need to talk to others people. You cannot be too passive. You have to talk a lot. You have to try to blend in with others. So that's how you will what we call secure you in career lah. But the most important thing also, you also need to what we call have a good CGPA. That's the what we call basic rules. You also need to have a good CGPA. It's very important. I can say to you, because for example, if there is a opening about what we call fresh grad engineer, so there's a lot of undergrad apply for that. For example, one position around thousand of undergrad student apply for it. So how the employer want to know that this guy can do the work or this guy cannot do the work? First impression, of course, they will see the CGPA. So whatever it is, don't feel comfortable whatever you have. So try your best to at least get 3.0 and above, to make sure that you can secure your job lah. Because nowadays it's very hard for you to compete with others. There's a lot of undergraduate compared to during my period of time lah. So don't neglect your education. Please try to what we call get as much as highest GPA lah. That's my advice for you guys. So I think that's all. Any question you can put in the comment. It's already 10, so I will give to Tengku Aizat for next speaker. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Brother Iswan, for that great sharing session. Next, please welcome Brother Muhammad Marzuq Imran to deliver his next sharing session.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, Assalamualaikum and good morning to all of you. Thank you for inviting me and Brother Iswan for this talk. So, this is my first time giving talk. I have never given career talk before. So, let me introduce myself first. My full name is Muhammad Marzuq Imran. You can call me Brother Marzuq. And I am a mechatronic engineer, graduated in 2014 with a pointer of 3.49. So, it's not almost the first class, but not first class yet. And just for your information, I also have some hearing problem in both of my ears since birth, meaning I cannot hear properly, but I'm wearing a device to help me hear better. And like Brother Iwan said, we entered the Roboteam together during our first year. And I also joined 2 Robocon competition and 1 MyRock competition. Most of the time, I work as a programmer. And during that competition, when I was working as a programmer, that was what sparked my interest in a programmer. And I decided to work as a software developer. So I think that's about it for my background. So I think for as a mechanical student, as we learn everything, because we learn about mechanical, we learn about electrical, we learn a little bit about coding, and we can dive into many fields. For example, we can go to the mechanical part, we can go to electrical, we can go to manufacturing, and we can also work as a programmer. So it's quite a broad field, but because what we learn is quite broad, so when you start working, you are going to study more deeper because sometimes what you learn at UAE might not be enough. So when you start working, you are going to need to learn again. So like learning is a continuous process. Until you die, you will continue to learn everything. So about the COVID situation, so during my time during the COVID, which last year, I also have some setback because we cannot meet client, we cannot go to do our workshop. Then there is also a problem with the payment. So it's quite a problem as well when COVID hit us. But however, in IT, because of the COVID, it also opened a bigger possibility because when people need to work from home, so they need more resource about the software, they need a suitable software, they need a suitable hardware to continue working. So the IT department is growing. And then there are some companies that take advantage of the COVID, which is actually one of the companies is my company, which take advantage of to create a new program to cater for all the people who are working from home. So although the COVID is bad and also affect many people's job, it also opened a new door to in the IT department. So next, I'm going to tell you about my experience working as a software developer. So as you can see, actually in UAE, the only programming language that I learned is actually C++. And during my FYP, I teach myself how to code in Python. But then that's all. So when I was start working as a software developer, I need to learn a new programming language. For example, right now I'm learning about JavaScript, then about Perl and so on. So working as a software developer is quite different compared to other field, because when you are working as a software developer, you are going to sit in front of the computer the whole day, meaning from 8 to 6, you are going to sit in front of your computer, you're not going anywhere. Sometimes you will meet with your client, but right now where the kid is work from home, you will also meet the client inside the computer. So your computer is your best friend, you are not going to talk with anybody and so on. So sometimes as a software developer, we create new software from scratch, or sometimes we create we enhance the already existing software into a new product so that we can sell it. And working as a software developer also meaning that you are going to explore the internet looking for a code to help to do your work, or sometimes to what is the bug need, what is the solution, and so on. Sometimes there are also cases where you have to wait for an idea to come to how on earth you're going to solve this problem, and so on. So, but working as software developer meaning that you are going to Google everything. When you it's unlike other work, meaning because when you face bug, you Google it. When you going to find a idea, you Google it. When you are trying to, even when you are trying to design something new, for example, you are going to start creating a new software, you will start by Googling it. What is the best framework or what is the best programming language that are best to you create the software. So, and then after that, the difference with the programming with during my time with FYP and during my work is that during FYP, you are going to or during your programming language lesson during your class, you are going the code you write, you are the only one who read it, the code. But in working as a software developer, the code that you write, other people will also write. So you cannot make you have to make a suitable name for the variable, for the function, and then you have to have a proper code documentation. You have to have a proper code and so on. So this all of this will take some experience because if you're not, you are not going to know how to name this variable, function, and so on. So I think that's all as my experience working as a software developer. Then during my advice, I think most of it is already answered by Brother Joang, but I will try to answer some of it. So unlike other engineer, software developer prioritize skill compared to master, PhD, and others. Meaning for some certificate, sometimes it works, but sometimes we actually value more about skill, programming skill. Meaning, for example, what language you have, what framework you already learn, and so on. So when you go to interview as a software in a software department, sometimes they will usually ask you to answer a few programming language question. Sometimes it's written in paper, sometimes it's written in computer. So you are going to expect to answer programming language on the spot. That is normal for a software developer. And then my other advice is that sometimes, because I have been working for about 7 years, and I've working in 4 different companies. So some of them is a big company like Intel and Sakura. So I've been working at a big company as well. I've been working in a small company which is smaller than 20 people. So both of them has its pro and cons. So when I was working at Intel, it was a big company, it was comfortable environment, good teammate and everything. But unfortunately, when I was joining the Intel, the project that was going, that my team is doing is almost finished, meaning I did not have any work to do. So during my time working at Intel, about 1 year, I was sitting doing nothing, playing game and so on during my time because I do not know what to do. But then after a while, you get bored because who were going to play game at workplace? And then after a while, I realized that I need to improve my skill because if not, I will have a hard time to jump to other company. So I took it upon myself to automate some of the program, and then I teach myself how to code in Perl. So after 1 year at Intel, because of personal reason, I need to move to another company. So I moved to a smaller company this time at KL, which is RI Solution. So this company is quite small, and because it's quite small, you are expected to do everything. Meaning, for example, you are going to do the user guide, you are doing the testing, you are doing the documentation, everything you are going to do by yourself. But because of that, you are going to learn quite a lot of skill. because because you are the one who need to do everything. You need the one to understand everything from A to Z. So working in a small company is quite advantage in terms of gaining skill. However, when I was moved to Arahi, I made some mistake. It's actually when I moved to Arahi, I asked for a lower salary than my first company, Intel. The reason why I did that is because at first I was scared that if I did not get the job, then I will not have a job because my contract at Intel almost finished. But this is a mistake. So whenever you move from job to job, always ask for a higher salary than before, and always ask appropriate amount. For example, the best is 20% from your current salary. So when I was at the second company, I worked there about 3 years because I learned quite a lot of things there. So although the salary is quite small, I continue to work there. But on my last year, the company relocate its office. So in order to go to work by public transport, I have to go about 1 hour to 1 hour and a half, meaning go and back. Go 1 hour and a half, then back also 1 hour and a half. Using the LRT, MRT, and bus. So it was quite tiring for me. So on the final last year, I decided to move to another company, which is Sakura, my third company. So Sakura, as a big company, it gives quite a good benefit. The salary is quite good and so on. But again, for some reason, I don't know why, the big company does not like me or something. I did not have, I was more involved in documentation compared to programming. So I was doing a lot of documentation, testing other people, code, conducting workshop, writing proposal. So during my 2 years working at Sakura, I did not improve my skill at all in programming I mean. So after 2 years, although the benefit is good and everything, I decided to move to my current company, which is Pernet Technologies. Although Sakura actually tried to negotiate with me so that I can stay, but I reject the offer because I'm afraid that if I stay any longer at Sakura, my skill will deteriorate and I will become rusty in programming. So alhamdulillah, at my current company, Pernet, everything is quite good. I learned a new programming language, and all my teammates is actually younger than me. Most of them is about 27, 28, but some of them is even my senior, although he is younger than me. But that is quite normal as a software developer because sometimes when you grow older, there are people who are a lot better than you, but you're going to accept it and work. You have to work properly with them. So my advice to you guys is that for the first few years of when you start working, like Brother Izwan said before, try to improve your skill. If for example, try to find a job that you can improve your skill. And if, for example, you cannot improve your skill, just try to learn as much as possible and then try to move into a new company after 1 or 2 years. So just for your information, for software developer, it's actually quite normal to jump from company to another company after 1 or 2 years. It's quite normal for us. And so my tips during the interview, I think for the interview session, I think for me, it's better to be yourself. Do not try to be honest, and then try to be confident as well. But if you don't know something, just say you don't know it. Don't try to lie your way around it because sometimes there are cases where employee they will ask you more about it, and then if you cannot answer it, then you will busted. And I think I look into the question again. So for the high demand skill for engineering field, I'm not sure about the other people, but in the software department, the necessity that you're going to have is better you have experience using OS Linux, and then if you have experience in working with other programming language besides C, so it will be more advantageous to you lah. And as a woman capable surviving engineering, I think for this one, yes, but it also depends on themselves lah, because I have seen some girl working as a programmer as well, although not a lot, but there are quite a few of them, and most of them is quite good. There are also some people working as a tester. They are women and working as a tester, meaning tester is the one who are going to test your code after you are finished coding everything. Tester are going to try your code again and again, so that if there are any bugs, you will need to fix it. Yeah, I think that's all from me. It's quite short, sorry. Yeah, I thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Brother Mazuk, for the beautiful sharing session. Now, as you all know, it is close to the end of our event for today. However, before we end the session, we will have a quick Q&A session. If you have any questions, please just ask in the chat box, and then we can ask our speakers. Okay.
Assalamualaikum. Brother Mazuk. I want to ask Brother Mazuk, since you are a mechatronic graduate, right?
Yeah.
In mechatronic, you learn about electrical, software, and mechanical also. So, but now you're working in software, right?
Yeah, correct.
Have any other field give advantage to your have, for example, the electrical and mechanical have ever give advantage to you in your career?
For me, because actually when I moved to a software department, all my engineering knowledge is not quite useful to me. Because I need to relearn everything, and because actually working as programmer, there are a lot of terms that I do not understand, but the people who are from IT department understand it, but me as an engineering student, I did not understand it, and I have to Google everything again. But to answer your question, no, actually, most of the things that I learned besides programming language C++, most of them I did not use during my work.
Have you ever interviewed a fresh graduate?
For that, not yet at the moment.
If we are the fresh graduate, what would you advise or you want us to have?
For your question, are you going to ask about working as a software developer or as in general?
For you, is a software developer.
So my advice is try to learn about how to use the OS, the Linux OS, because in the programming language, quite a lot of people use that. And then try to improve your logic and thinking. For example, I will later on I will try to paste the link at the comment section. There is a website that you can try to solve using any programming language that you have, so that you improve your skill. And next is for programming, there is no shortcut. You are going to familiarize yourself with all the what should I say, the term they call like function. Sometimes the function we call it method, sometimes we call it component and so on. So you need just to familiarize yourself, and then try to learn the latest and the newest programming language that is taught. For example, right now I think Node.js is quite, there are a lot of people using it. Java is also very famous. So if you have experience in using that, it will be advantage to you lah. Java especially, and you can try also to learn about C#, .NET, and Node.js. It's quite famous, and it will be easy for you guys if you have experience working using that.
And one last question for Brother Imran. Brother Mazuk, in a company, usually who said what language that we use? Or the company, right?
Usually it's the architecture engineer. So for all the senior programmer, so most of the time when they are going to design something new, they are the one who going to, because they are the one who familiar with what language they will use. So sometimes they will use the best language that they I think, for example, because for example, in my current company, Connect, there is one senior that is very good in programming in using JavaScript. So in all case, when we have a new project, we use JavaScript, but in JavaScript, there is a lot of framework. So using a different framework can lead to a different result. So actually, for example, at Connect, we usually only use JavaScript or for example, or Node.js, and then we use a different framework for each for different project. So if you have experience using any framework in any language, it will be advantageous because using framework is quite good right now, because actually people in the software department, you are not going to develop the code from scratch. You usually you are going to use some framework to develop any software. For example, if you use the computer, you realize that you have WhatsApp application right in your computer. So that one is right using Node.js, using framework Electron. You can try to Google it. So there's the Electron framework is a JavaScript language, but it used to write a program for computer.
Thank you, Brother Mazuk.
We have two questions from the students. Okay, first question is, what is the expected salary for a fresh graduate that we should go for as a software developer? But we can also extend this question to Brother Iswan. So, Brother Iswan, can you please answer this question? What is the expected salary?
Expected salary. Okay. I think this one asks for software developer. Okay, I will answer in terms of my materials in terms of oil and gas. So during my time in 2014, I put 2.5 2.5. But my company, yes, my company offer me to 2.6. Yes, Dada, over there, go. Okay, mommy. 2.6. So they offer me 2.6. So that time, not 2014. But nowadays, I think you should put higher. But because you know that engineering actually is underpaid. I can say it's very underpaid. So it's very unlucky for you guys. And me also is very underpaid. But I can tell you during the times, when you have your experience and you have some sort of capability compared to others, for example, if you have, if you are a professional engineer, you have some sort of cert, professional cert, that will, you can easily get more than 20k, 30k. I can tell you, but you need more than 8 years of experience. But when you started your career as a graduate engineer, you must be what we call be patient and try to learn as much as you can to improve your skills and so on. So from that experience and skill, you will jump into higher salary lah. So for now, I can say, because I sometimes I try to go to Jobstreet and see the range of salary. I go to Glassdoor Glassdoor website. So nowadays I still can say the range is 2.5 to 3 or 3.5. But in terms of big company, for example, Continental, Bosch, Petronas, Shell, what is called multinational company, MNC, or big manufacturing, you can put 3.5 and above. So that's, for example, Petronas, if I'm not mistaken, nowadays they pay fresh grad around 4,000 to 4,500 for fresh grad. So if you get Petronas, you are very lucky lah. So for small company, I can say that you put 2.5 or 3. So within the years, you try grab as much as experience you have. Try to get certification. Try to improve yourself. Doing professional engineer or doing master whatsoever. So that will guarantee you high pay in future. So no worry about that. Engineer usually we start with low, but we end up with a higher salary lah. So don't be what we call kecewa lah. Okay.
So for the same question for fresh grad for the software developer, I think it's same with brother Izwan mentioned before. It's 2,500 for a small company, and sometimes for big company like Intel, usually they will offer about 3,000 as a fresh grad. But like mentioned by brother Izwan, as long as you have experience and after a few years, the salary for a software developer is actually quite unlimited actually, because in Malaysia usually the highest salary as a software developer is around, I think, around 5,000 or 6,000. But if you move to a MNC company, which multinational company, your salary can go up to 10,000, 15,000 easily, as long as you have the right knowledge, the right skill, and you are quite good in programming. Because both of my brothers is actually a software developer. So after they are almost 40 years old right now. So both of them is actually their salary is already almost one is 10,000, the other is higher than 10,000. I think about 15,000 or something like that. So as long as you are quite good enough, you have enough experience, you are capable, then your salary as a software developer can go unlimited. Of course, I'm not experienced, and so my salary is quite low compared to my brother lah. Yeah, just for your information, I have linked the project website inside the chat. You can try to click on it and try to answer some of your questions. During my interview session with Pernet, they give me this website, and they told me to answer the first few 10 questions. And then during my interview with them, they told me to code in front of them using computer to answer the 11 question, which took me about 1 hour and more. Yeah. So you can try to use it lah. Try to improve your skill as well. You can try to Google the solution as well.
Okay, thank you for the answers, brothers. Okay, another question is, what is your opinion on the Google Career Certificate program under the Growth Rate Google program? Is it worth a try?
Okay, I will answer first lah. Okay, I'm not really familiar with the Google program. So what I can say is, if it is related, okay, first of all, if it is free, just go. Just take it. Because it's free. Get as long as much knowledge as you can. If although it's not really related to your career, but just grab it because it's free. But when we need to pay, or there's a cost hidden inside, so you need to focus on your career. I mean, if you are a corrosion engineer, so if the Google program is, for example, about software, so it's not really related to corrosion. If you have also, people don't look on it. So try to match with your career profile and also your career goals. Whatever is related, then you can take. But if it's free, just take it. Okay? Thank you.
I think Brother Juan already answered this quite already, because I also do not know about Google Career Certificate. But as long as it's free, just take it. But for a software developer, you can also just try to learn any language by yourself. And then if you are capable, or if you are willing to try to go for freelance as a programmer.
Okay, thank you so much for the answers. And I think the questions have stopped now, so we can start approaching the closing remarks. Just a gentle reminder, we will drop the feedback form for the students in the chat box later. So please fill in the survey to help us identify any shortfall in the event. Okay, so a big appreciation to all our speakers for making time to join us in this lovely morning to share their experiences and stories. It does indeed enlighten us about our future career in the industry. Before we end our session, let us take some pictures to remember this memorable event. It would be great if everyone can turn on their camera and smile brightly, students included, please. Okay. We'll just wait for our speaker first to turn on the webcam.
I think you might need to call Brother Izwan. Maybe he thought that only students are going to take the picture.
Okay, I'll message you first. Okay, thank you, Brother Izan. Okay, okay, media. Please be prepared to take the screenshot. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, 2 more times, please. 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. 3, 2.